All right. Well, we're going to have a few more coming in as we get started. Let me go ahead and tell you this again up front if you did not hear me say this earlier, but for the first time ever in a masterclass, we actually put a free QR code link to my book. So you can just shoot that with your phone. By the way, if you're over the age of 40, don't take a picture of that. I can make that joke because I'm 49. So don't take a picture of it. All you do is scan it and you should be able to pull up my book there. That is actually me reading a book. It is an actual book that I wrote. AI did not write it. I wrote it about 5, 6 years ago. And hopefully it will be of value and just an encouragement as you're driving around and taking in what it is that you're wanting to take in. Hey, I mentioned this a few minutes ago. I'm going to reiterate it. And then in about one more minute, we're going to go ahead and get going. We've put a lot of work into this masterclass here at the beginning of the year. And I want to make sure that you get full value out of our time together. So 2 things that I need from you. Number one is wherever you're at right now, I'd love for you to turn your camera on. This is a human thing. What we don't like are people kind of having us on in the background. We'd rather you just turn it off. No offense, but we've put a lot of work into this and you've put a lot of time into registering for this and being here. And so we want to make sure you get value. If we're having to compete with email or somebody's talking over there or whatever, we just can't compete. And we would just rather you pick one. So again, we want to be very upfront with that in a kind way. All right. With that, we want you to get ready to take notes and lots of notes because you're going to need them because I'm going to be going through a lot of information that we've put together. I am at risk of being a fire hose to you, but I'm okay with that for the next little bit. I think you'll find great value in this. The second thing is if you can go into your chat window, if you haven't already, and let us know how you heard about us, whether it's through email or you heard us speak on a stage, your direct referral from somebody as to this masterclass. I know you didn't pay to be here, but just let us know how you heard about us. It helps us know where to focus our attention in outreach and how we can outreach our message of liberating people from chaos to make time for what matters most. That would be great. So John, thank you for being here, man. Yeah, some of you are clients of ours already, and we're so, so grateful. So this is going to be a reiteration for those of you who are clients. It's going to be a doubling down. Some of you are new clients if you haven't gotten to this yet. So any of you who are clients of ours, I want you to take everything I talk about back to your coach, okay? And so this is going to be a reiteration of some things. You will hear some different stories around this as well, but I want you to take back, and you've got the perfect opportunity to sit down and work on what we're going to talk about to make sure that you have it, okay? Some cases you might hear me say something and go, well, my coach hasn't told me that. Probably because you haven't gotten there yet. You're going to get there. And frankly, our coaches are better than I am at coaching. Yes, I developed the majority of the content, but they're better at coaching it because they spend a lot more time doing it. And so they know exactly where they're taking you for that. But for those of you, I'm really, really grateful that you could be here. All right, let's go ahead and dive in as we get started and talk about this idea of how we can manage our cash flow so it flows predictably and it flows freely. Hey, before we do that, let's introduce ourselves. Normally I have a picture of my family, but for whatever reason, I just decided not to put it in here. So my wife and I are actually heading out to Morocco, the country, North Africa, here in just a few days. Ashley and I have been married almost 27 years. We've got 3 kids, 23, 21, and 20. And we have a family mission. That's to be a light and create space through wisdom, adventure, and time around the table, which then leads into our business mission. And that is to liberate owners from chaos to make time for what matters most. So that's why we're here, is to be able to liberate you from the chaos you feel so that we can make time for the things that really, really, truly matter. So thank you again for those of you who turn on your cameras. We can see you. That's awesome. For those of you who haven't, I'd love for you to, so that we can see you and all feel like we're in a room together instead of just sort of passively having this go on in the back room like a radio. I'm not a good DJ. I'm a live guy. So let's go live with what we have. All right. Hey, so that's our team. By the way, we're a team of 12 serving 111 clients around the country. About 89% of those are contractors, but the other 11% are all over the place. Lawyers and healthcare professionals. We've got jewelry, warehouse distributors, cleaners, a variety of different things. And so I want you to hear that even though we talk to a lot of contractors, the system that we've built works for any small business owner between 3 and 100 employees, and usually generating $1 million or more in revenue, unless you're a professional services firm, like an attorney, an architect, an engineer. You can do less than $1 million, but we usually look for you to have 3 or more employees. And what we do is we work through what's called the Business Installation Roadmap. This is our proprietary roadmap where we walk with business owners just like you. And so I'm going to walk you through some stories. First, I want to let you know that we know who you are. Even though we may not know you personally, I want you to know that we've got a 26-point document that explains out who we best work with. And me, I see Brent on here, Thomas, Brandon, TJ, Patrice, everybody, all of us, We have that understood so we know who we best work with so that we can deliver our promise to liberate owners from chaos, to make time for what matters most. So I'm going to walk you through two major subjects during our masterclass together. Then I'm going to expect that you're going to take notes the entire time and post your questions as we go. Don't hold back. Go ahead and post those in the chat window. Brent's on here with us as well. He can help me sort of curate some of those questions so that we've got those in play for you and we can make sure that we get to those. And then at the end, if you want to know how you can get a couple of these templates, we used to give them away, and then we realized that when we gave them away, nobody did anything with them. And so we're going to do something a little different, and I'll show you at the end how you can get access to some of these templates if you want, so that you can start working through them to be liberated from chaos that you feel, so you can make time for the things that matter most. All right, we ready to rock and roll? We got a lot to get through. Let's go. All right, I want to tell you a story about a guy named Asher. Owned a $7 million home building company in the western part of the United States. Asher was chaotic, frustrated. He had an 80% cost of goods. Oh my goodness. Can you do that calculation? Imagine every dollar you come in and 80 cents goes right back out the back door, right? He was chaotic. He was spending lots of money, not keeping very much of it. He was bidding, estimating, project managing, superintending. He was marketing. He was selling. He was doing all of it, right? And he had employees, but the problem was he just wasn't very good at releasing control. Now, I know you can't understand that, right? Maybe. Hey, there was money in the bank, but the money was always slim. So here was Asher's philosophy. Can you believe this? You ready? He thought as long as there's money in the bank, we must be making money. Here's the reality. Now, some of you are like, wait, that's my philosophy. No, we got to get rid of that, man. Asher had $32,000 of cash in the bank to run a $7 million contracting company. That's less than 1% of operating cash to run the business that was in the bank. Now, to be honest, Asher was cash flowing a lifestyle. And if the music ever stopped, he really didn't have much to show for all the work. Asher was tired of borrowing money from the bank and lines of credit just to duct tape the business together. Some of you feel like you've got a business duct taped together as well, right? So he wondered, is there a way I can become my own bank without winning the lottery? Is that possible? Or can I become my own bank without taking on jobs that are going to bury us? Some of you buy jobs, you buy customers, right? You spend more money bringing in a customer than you do making money from that customer. So no more borrowing other people's money, no more using tomorrow's deposits to pay yesterday's bills. Asher committed to the three things that we're about to walk through. And the good news is now he's got a story to be able to share with you. And it's a story you're going to want to see. So if you'll stick around a little bit, I'm going to show you the actual results on the actual document that Asher used to 10 times his cash in 12 months. In fact, I just had a call with well, now he's a new client. He wasn't before we had the call, and now he is. I just had a call this morning. The entire call was about the frustration of cash flow. And so that's where many of you are at right now. And so good timing. So here's the first thing Asher did. You ready with your notes? Here we go. First thing Asher did was he decided to close the back door. Now, some of you are like, I'm not writing that down. That's not actionable. I don't even know what that means, right? Don't worry. I'm going to get you some details here in a minute. Settle down, right? Every event we attend, every event we discuss and ask questions about the challenges, and the same two challenges keep coming up over and over and over again. You know what they are? People problems, money problems. Now, depending on the year, it could be money problems, people problems. But there's really only two issues: people, money. We met a remodeler in Texas who came up with all the swagger you could expect from a Texan. And he was after one of my talks and he said, hey, man, I already know the problem. We need more sales. I was like, I don't even know what sales is. That's like whatever you call those things when you have two or more things in a word, right? I was like, sales only has one, but you made it two. How'd that happen? What this guy didn't realize is that when you start to pour gasoline on an already chaotic fire, you know what you get? More chaos, right? It's kind of like marriage. We say, oh man, it'd all be better if we could just get married. No, all marriage is a magnifying glass for what already exists. You've heard it says that sales solves all problems, right? No, sales accelerates what already exists. Sales makes the good look better and the bad look badder. I know it's not a word to put together, but you get my point, right? You actually don't have a sales problem, or in the vernacular of the Texan, a sales problem. You don't have a money problem. Some of you are coming in this masterclass going, man, I got money problems. No, you don't. You know what you have? You got a process problem. The year that Asher increased his cash by 10 times in 12 months, he actually decreased his total revenue from $8 to $7 million. So some of you think, well, I could just fix my cash if I can just increase my revenue. Oh my gosh, no, all you're going to do is pour gas on an uncontrolled fire. The last thing that Palisades in LA needs right now is gasoline, right? What they need is water. Before you strategize, actually, they need a process for getting water. Before you strategize to increase sales or to ramp up marketing or to negotiate pricing or contracts or whatever, just pause. Just take a breath. The key word for this idea of being shrewd is the word that comes from your diaphragm. The word phren, it literally means a diaphragm. You know what that means? Be shrewd. It means take a breath. Take a breath. Settle down. We need to understand first how a business is built. See, we're too obsessed as owners with the product or service we're selling, forgetting that your product is not your product. Your process is your product. Now, some of you, that may be your biggest takeaway of the entire month. Don't gloss over that phrase. Your product is not your product. Your process is your product. When the process of running your business is chaotic, there's no new employee or big contract that's going to fix it. You know what's going to help fix it is understanding how a business works. So let's walk through that. You ready? There are 4 major foundational pillars. I'm using the word pillar for a reason because it starts with P. There's 4 foundational pillars that exist in every business. And here they are. You ready? Purpose, people, process, and profit. Now, those are not only the 4 pillars, but they're also the 4 main pain points that every owner deals with as well. So if we boil down all the product or all the problems that happen in your business or the pains that happen in your business, they boil down to the 4 P's, the pillars of purpose, people, process, and profit. Now, sitting on top of that is a concrete slab of process. This is how the product gets fulfilled. And so we call it the master process roadmap. And what those 4 pillars, purpose, people, process, profit, support in the process of the concrete slab are the 4 major walls that exist in every business. In this order: marketing, sales. You like that? I'm going to keep saying that just to bother you. Marketing, sales, operation, administration. By the way, in that order, marketing's always first. For some of you, this masterclass for us is marketing. You've not heard us before. And so this is us introducing ourselves to you, right? For others of you, this might lead to sales, where we go, man, I want to work with these folks. For others of you, this is operations. You're already a client of ours. So what we're doing is reinforcing a message for you, giving you another little push of both encouragement and also accountability. And then throughout this whole thing, there's administration. So we hold these things in that order. See, what Asher committed to was to document every process in the business, because he realized he didn't just have a money problem, he had a process problem. But he doubled down on documenting the financial process. Asher stopped obsessing over things like total revenue. He stopped obsessing over cutting expenses. And instead, he realized, I need to start watching this money before it sneaks out the back door. So after he committed to closing the back door by watching his money, he needed a system. And that system would be built based on the behavior of money. So Asher's second focus was to understand how money works. All right, now you should have just heard a key word. Wait, did you just say second? Okay, so point number 1, close the back door. How did he do that? By committing to develop a process. Point number 2, understand how money works. Why? Because money has its own behavior. Mike Michalowicz, in his brilliant book, Profit First, introduces a concept called Parkinson's Law. Now, you know what this is. Basically, work expands to the time allotted. So if I give you 3 weeks to do a project, how long is it going to take you? 3 weeks. If I give you 3 days to do the same project, how long is it going to take you? 3 days. So the demand for a thing, in this case, money, will match its supply. I like to look at it through the lens of food. So you give me a popcorn bucket this side, how much am I going to eat? All of it. But if you give me a popcorn bucket this side, how much am I going to eat? All of it, right? But if I take that same bucket of popcorn and break it down into 10 little buckets of popcorn, I'm not going to eat 10 of those. You'll make fun of me. You'll think I'm overweight, right? I'm just going to be like, no, I'm just going to only eat 7 of those little buckets because, I'm controlling myself. What happens is when you keep all your money in one big account that looks like that on the right side, what happens is when you spill a couple kernels of popcorn, you don't really notice it. But if you spill a couple kernels out of this, you notice it, right? So why don't we subdivide our money? Why don't we take every dollar that comes into our money and subdivide it? Why? Because money has strange behavior. See, here are 3 inescapable truths about money. First, a dollar is never a dollar. Hey, if you've got kids, Here's lesson number one at the dinner table tonight, and I'm not kidding. You need to sit down and go through this right now. In fact, some of you are like, actually, I need to go through this myself. A dollar is not a dollar. When you get a receivable, that receivable is not all your money. Now that leads to truth number 2 and 3. Truth number 2 is a dollar out is always more than a dollar. When you go to purchase a sandwich for $9.95, do you pay $9.95 for that sandwich? No, you pay $9.95 plus $1.87 of tax. And then that wonderful person behind the counter turns the screen around and lies to you and says, hey, this thing's just going to ask you a couple of questions. No, it's asking me one question. You know what the question is? Will you give me more money? Because I just turned the screen around. It's called a tip, right? And so we've got a payment processor here in the building. I can't make too much fun of them. They're dear friends of mine. But you get my point, right? A dollar out is always more than a dollar. Dollar in, though, rule number 3 is always less than a dollar. Let's prove it. When you go to deposit a receivable, for instance, for $99,000, do you keep $99,000? No, you keep way less than $99,000. So let's take a custom home building company that gets a $100,000 receivable. Well, we got to take around 80% for cost of goods. That's the national average for a new construction design build home building company. So now we're down to $20,000. Oh my gosh, what happened, right? There's $80,000 that just went out the door. Oh, by the way, you got 12% for payroll, overhead. Now we're down to 8,000. You got 2% for callbacks, mess ups, coverages. Now we're down to 6,000. You got another 2 to 3% for taxes and fees and other things that you don't see. Now we're down to 4,000. And that's before we've paid anything of interest, depreciation, amortization, and just general screw ups. You thought you were rich with $100,000 when really all you have is maybe $4,000. See, we need to close the back door of our business. Why? Because money's got weird behavior and it sneaks out the back door when it's all kept in 1 or 2 buckets. So after studying the behavior of money, Asher committed to stop serving money and instead make money serve his purpose. So this call I was on this morning, I told him I was going to add this phrase to our vision story. See, what happens is, and usually I'm not on these calls. I just happen to be on this one this morning. But when Brent or Thomas or TJ or Doug or some of our other coaches are on calls with potential clients, we get into a great conversation. They're actually coaching calls where the client ends up asking us, hey, what's it like to work with you? And so we start walking through that. And one of the questions we typically ask is, hey, what does life look like in a few years? If you just keep doing what you're doing, don't take our advice. Don't do anything we're asking. Just keep doing what you're doing. What does life look like in 3 years? Here's what this guy told us this morning. This morning, by the way, he's a Texan. I shouldn't make fun of him because of his accent. But he said this. He said, Scott, if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to burn out of this business because so far for the last 7 years he's owned this business, money has told me what to do. Isn't that a great line? Money has told me what to do instead of me telling it what to do. And so we've got to start changing our mind. First thing we need to do is subdivide every dollar. Second thing, we need to take those subdivided dollars and place them in their own specific homes. And in other words, look at the money and start doing this. Everybody watching me? I'm watching you, money. I'm watching you, right? So as Asher started to do this, he created 6 bank accounts. That's right, 6. I want you to write the number 6 down, all right? Because I don't want you to freak out about it. He subdivided and went and opened 6 bank accounts from his bank. Like real bank account? Yes, 6 real bank accounts. As he did this, he had to confront 4 major psychological barriers that many of you are having to think about right now. Number 1 was your own mindset. Some of you are going, well, that's stupid. I could do all this on a spreadsheet. All right, special snowflake, settle down. You're here for a reason. The system you got ain't working. God, that was rude. I shouldn't have said it like that. I'm sorry. Not really. I'm trying to wake you up. Right? Some of you are having to battle your own mindset. Number 2, you're going to have to battle your own bookkeeper. They go, this is stupid. Too much work. Too many transactions. Settle down, bookkeeper. It's going to be about an extra 2 to 3 transactions a quarter. Not a week, not a month. Third is going to be the big lumbering CPA. Now, I was in Tampa a couple of weeks ago, and I was doing a talk with this section of what I'm talking to you about in the talk, but I made sound effects and made a lot of fun of CPAs because we normally don't have CPAs in the room. Had a guy come up to me. This is not a lie. 2 weeks ago, TJ was there with me. Had a guy come up to me and he goes, hey man, I wanted to see if we can meet with you. I was like, great. What are you doing? He goes, I'm a CPA. I'm like, Mike, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, man, you're dead on. Thank you. But you know what your CPAs say about this? This is stupid and too much work. And the fourth thing is going to be your bank. And they're going to go, hey, yeah, we don't mind opening the accounts. We're just going to charge you for them. No problem. If they do that, fire them and go get another bank. Not making that up. So what Asher did is he found a local bank who loved hosting his deposits, by the way, because that's how they make money. He found a bookkeeper that was relieved that this was going to reduce her chaos. He found a CPA who said, hey, man, anything I can do to make it easier for you and to make more money. Those are the mindsets we want. And so here's what he did. He set up these 6 accounts. By the way, you can take screenshots. Feel free. No problem. He set up an all-income account. It's where all the money comes in. He set up a cost of goods account. Most of you have cost of goods, but you're paying your cost of goods out of your operating expense account. It's all mixing and mingling. He had a profit account to see how much of that money coming in was his profit. He had an owner's pay account. Now, for those of you who are an S Corp, you won't need that because you get a payroll out of the operating expense. But we've got a lot of LLCs who still just sort of draw money out of the business. We're not going to do that anymore. You're going to set a bank account by percentage where money goes into because you need the business to tell you whether it can afford what it's paying you. Most of you are guessing right now. We need a tax account so you don't go to jail, and we need an operating expense account so that you can pay all your overhead and your bills and rent and everything else, right? All right, so he set these accounts up. Then doing that, here's how it started to flow. When income came in, he would take his defined cost of goods percentages, whether it was 32% or 67%. For him, it was 81%, by the way. So 81 cents, we actually made it 82, just to give a little buffer. 82 cents of every dollar went into his cost of goods account. From there on out, anytime he paid a sub, a vendor, materials, he paid it out of that account. He did not pay it out of his operating expense account. Then after he slid all that 82% in there, whatever was left over, we call it real revenue, was moved by percentage. Let's call it 8% in profit, 15% in owner's comp, 12% in tax, and the rest in OPEX. Don't write those numbers down. I'm just making those up. And so now at any point, he can look not at a P&L, which is a static snapshot in the past, not at his balance sheet, which is going to do no good for him in his modern cash, but he could look at his actual cash accounts and see what he could do in his business. So he'd set it up, move the cogs over, move the real revenue out, and here we go. All right? And so now he's starting to see where his money is at. So what Asher did is he's just started with 1% profit. That's it, just to make sure he had all his cash in the other accounts and they were flooded and he had enough to cover all of his bills. And what he did is he did this every single week of the year. Now, we increased his profit because he started to see he had enough money. And then this happened. Whoa, what is that? Some of you are freaking out right now. You're starting to have the cold shivers because you got a spreadsheet in front of you. Hey, I got a t-shirt that says spreadsheets change lives. They do. Just trust them. Trust them. And so here's what happened. Now, I don't want you to freak out. I'm going to walk you through this. You ready? So we set up a spreadsheet. We put all of his bank accounts on this side. Now, some of you are like, wait, Scott, that's more than 6. Yeah, because he switched banks about halfway through the year. And so we added all these accounts in another bank because his bank was being a jerk. And so we flipped. So you'll see at the end of the year, all these numbers are actually down here. All right. So that's why I wanted to show you that. So don't worry about that. So now watch what happens. Every week, his administrator goes in. It takes about 3 minutes and plugs these numbers in. Where do they find these numbers? Don't worry. They're on myonlinebank.com or wherever your bank is.com, right? Just go into your cash balance. That's it. And whatever your cash balance in your all income account says, write it right there. Whatever your profit account balance is, write it right there. And by the way, the names of your accounts are literally profit, all income, owner's comp, tax, not 3-4719. None of that, right? You call them what they are. Banks will do that for you, by the way. So I want you to see something. If you add up all the cash that Asher thought he had access to, that's, I don't know, it's $100-something thousand. But what he wasn't taking into account was taking away subs and materials, tax, and then also we subtracted another element of sub and materials down here. So Asher actually had access to $32,000 of cash to run a $7 million company at the beginning of the year. Now, some of you are like, oh, you're skeptics, and you're going, wait, Scott, that's just 1 week. Come on. Okay, I'll give you a rolling 8 weeks. You ready? The rolling 8 weeks is he had an average of about $80,000 in cash to run a $70,000 home building company. Still feel good about that? Heck no. So what happened after week? They just tracked the cash. Week after week, tracked the cash, tracked the cash, tracked the cash. 52 weeks. His administrator did a great job. Took about 3 to 5 minutes a week. 52 weeks in a row. Watch what happens. Boom. What the? Okay, look at the top. You see 2020 up here? Now look at the next page. I'm about to switch. 3, 2, 1, 2021. It's 1 year removed. What happened? $332,000 of available cash. Rolling 8 weeks, $330,000 available cash. Well, Scott, he must have grown in revenue. Do you remember what I told you? He went from 8 to 7. He decreased in revenue. Sales didn't solve this problem. You know what solved his problem? Subdividing his bank accounts. You know what the other cool thing about this whole story is Asher actually took a $80,000 profit draw out of the business. So the cash account doesn't even include that $80,000 profit draw that he took. All right. He also gave a $75,000 bonus to his team and bought a $30,000 van with cash. So add that up. That's another $180,000, $190,000 that wasn't even available for the balance that you see right there. All that happened in 1 year. Why? Well, Asher calls it voodoo. Like literally, that's not his real name, by the way. He's a real person, though. And if you ask him, he's going to call it voodoo. Now, it's not voodoo. It's psychology, right? That's all this is. You're like, Scott, is this a snake oil? No. It's just psychology. That's all we're doing. We're watching our money. Look at this. I screenshotted this. This was a text he sent me late 2023. So this is about a year and a half ago. Still a client of ours, by the way. A year and a half ago, he sent me this. $2 million in his 9 accounts. For the first time ever, he had hit $2 million of cash in his 9 accounts. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's nuts. In total, that first snapshot I showed you, he had a total of $160,000. $2 million in his combined accounts. Why? It's because Asher finally made a decision not to let the chaos dictate his money. He closed the back door. He studied the behavior of money. He subdivided and conquered. And now he's being liberated from chaos to make time for what matters most. All right. Now, let me show you some more examples. So here's what it looks like. That's Asher's right there all together. So you see on here, 318% increase in cash balance in 1 year. He started with a rolling 8-week average of 83,000, ended with 350,000 after drawing 78,000 of profit, $75,000 of cash, and 30 in a van. All right. Well, Scott, surely that's just a one-off. All right. Well, let's see. $5 million client. This is a hardscapes contractor. Now, they actually came into us really healthy. Holy smokes, $600,000 of average cash balance. See, we're not just showing you the catastrophes. We're showing you the hard ones too. You know what's harder for us to deal with is somebody who comes in a more healthy position. It's harder for us to show a return on their investment. And so we showed this. The hardscapes contractor came in over a 3-year period. We increased their cash balance by 45%. Now, they did increase their revenue, but look at this. $630,000 of profit they drew out of that business in 3 years. That's not including their salary, by the way. All right, let's go to another one. $2.5 million subcontractor. They came in reasonably healthy. By the way, this is a carpenter. They make cabinets. So in 1 year, year over year, rolling average 215,000. Again, pretty healthy. We still grew it by 12% in 1 year to 242. But look how much he took out of the business in 1 year, 180,000 on top of his salary. On top of his salary. All right. What about a $1 million cleaning company? Let's go small. $1 million cleaning company. They're actually about $900,000. They started their rolling 8-week average, 58,000. We tripled, actually one of the coaches that did this is on this call right now, so you can vouch for this, tripled their cash balance in not 1 year, 9 months. Tripled the cash balance in 9 months. This is a residential cleaning company. They don't do big contracts. They're cleaning houses $100 and $200 at a time. Tripled their cash in 9 months, and look how much cash profit she drew out in that 9 months. Mind-blowing. So it wasn't just a one-off. We see a landscape contractor, and these people were sick. Like they were about to close and in need of an ER surgeon. Fortunately, we were there. We saw in 1 year a 250% average cash balance increase. Now, they took no profit out because we needed them to reinvest it back in, but they still saw that cash balance increase. So you're struggling with cash, and we're saying, no, we can help all that. We can help all that. Okay. So you saw cash flow and how we subdivide the bank accounts. Now, here's what we want to do is go down here and look at how to forecast and build simple budget. Now, remember, I told you if you got any questions, I want you to put them down there, okay? Aurora, I saw what you put. I'm a text and you're doing well with the accent. Thank you. Thank you. You guys also say NAS. Instead of nice, you say nice. I don't know how it happens, but whatever. Lisa, good question. Do you measure progress in metrics? If so, what are the metrics that are used to measure? I'm assuming you're asking about the metrics I just showed you with all the cash accounts to see, but maybe you can give me a little bit more specific of what kind of metrics you're talking about. So write that down there and I'll come back to that. All right, so how do we forecast a simple budget? Now, I don't want you to gloss over when we say we need a forecast for the right purpose. There are principles to setting a simple budget that all heroic business owners will do well to follow. And the good news is that if you've been walking through what we teach, then you're going to be ready to go. So there's a kind of first step to a simple and well-built budget will take you to a forward-gazing future look towards the vision of the business, okay? And so we've got to start to really think about this in terms of understanding the future of the business rather than going back and starting to say, hey, so if you have not started with a vision, you've got to start there, because where there is no vision, there is chaos. Okay. And so we've got to start thinking through the vision of the business that's going to be most important for what you're looking to do with this. All right. So what good is a budget if it's being spent on items that are steering the business away from the vision or in some sort of haphazard direction? A budget will have line items and can be categorized for the things that are going to push you and the business towards that vision. So if a line does not align with a healthy vision, then we just simply move the line from the budget. So you got to have some sort of written vision down. The second thing we've got to have is we've got to have a backward gaze, a backward historic looking focus towards previous spending of the business. So starting a budget from scratch without looking at prior spending is akin to a pilot learning how to fly a plane every time she climbs into the cockpit, like from scratch. This is not a plane you want to be on. The quickest way to look at past spending is to simply run a profit and loss report from prior years. Even if they're not good, that's okay. Go ahead and run the reports and just see generally what you spend in each category. Now, the third filter for a simple and well-built budget is making the appropriate time to actually sit down and build the budget. That's where most of you get into problems. It's not that you're not smart, don't know what to do. It's that you have not made the time. So stop making excuses, because that's what you're doing. Is you're making excuses. You know who the excuses are hurting? You. They're hurting you and the people that you serve. Have you ever jumped out of your seat in an airport terminal, sprinted to zone 4 in the boarding line for your flight, the second before your boarding announcement came across the crack line terminal speakers, and all that sprinting just to stand there and wait in line? That's not how we want you to budget. We want you to go in, like get in, walk down the thing, get in the plane. Now, you've got to block the time in order to do it. Now, I don't know that you need any more than 1 to 2 hours. So sit, review your vision, review your previous profit, loss reports, project what you think you might need in each category to hit your near-term goal. But you're going to need 1 to 2 hours for this. The final step in developing a simple and well-built budget is to write down the numbers in every category. There's not a magic formula for this. You can go on the internet, try to find something, but I don't know that it's going to be helpful for you. It might give you a head start, but there is a helpful formula. To write it down, just create a clean budget sheet with the categories you normally use and the numbers zeroed out. That's all you got to do. So you see all these chart of accounts over here? Just think, what are the categories that I spend in? Start there. Work with your bookkeeper to do it. Then print it out and use last year's percentage. So you see this percentage column here when you print out a P&L? It goes, hey, you spent 14.24% on charitable contributions last year. Okay, well, maybe we'll put that number in this year. And so start to kind of give it that way, all right? If you look at business meals expense, say 7.83, all right, well, let's start with 7.83. And then once you get your revenue, that'll tell you how much money that's going to be. So let's say the answer is, no, I don't want to spend that much. Then you want to drop that again. So from there, what you're going to do is rinse and repeat this exercise all the way down, okay? All the way down. Now, a couple things to remember on your P&L statement. Your payroll taxes are included, but your business taxes will not be included. That's why setting up your subdivided bank accounts is so important. Your business taxes are paid off the bottom line. There is no chart of accounts for that. So if you've got that business tax going into a tax account, then you've got money there. You can see it. You don't need your P&L to be able to see that. Well, what if I don't have accounting software categorized and running these reports? Regardless of the size of your company, you need to get accounting software. Now, our take on software is that in most cases, we want you to use a spreadsheet. As it relates to the books, though, go get software. Xero, QuickBooks, we don't care what it is. Go get it, whichever one you'll use. Now, once you've got these numbers plugged in, you're almost there. It's now time to start to embed these numbers into your day-to-day. So first, you need to set a once per month touch point on your calendar to go back and review your budget and update as needed based on increase or decrease in revenue. Because if I were to go back here and go, hey, yeah, we wanted to spend 7.83, which is supposed to equate $22,000, but we're not making the revenue to get there, right? So we got to adjust. Or you could say we're way over, but we still only want to spend 7%. So the equivalent of 7% in dollars. So we're going to drop this down to 6% now. So you need to be able to set a once per month touch point on your calendar to go back and review your budget. Just quick, 5 minutes, just give it a review, see where you're at. But you can't review your budget if you're not updating the books, right? You got to update the books. So next, we want you to share your budget with your bookkeeper and or your financial professional so you can get their insight from outside of your business. And finally, when somebody asks you or you ask yourself, hey, can we buy this thing? I want you to start responding every time. Does it fit the vision, mission, values, and do we have the budget? Do we have the budget? That feeling, once you start asking that question, is very empowering. It makes you feel like a business owner, like a real business owner, like someone who's stewarding resources well and setting up your team for healthy, long-term success towards the vision. Now, there's one missing piece to all of this, of course. What is it? Implementation. I will take a half-baked budget with full implementation versus a kind of a perfect budget with half-baked implementation. Edison said it, Joe Calloway reinforced it, vision without implementation, just hallucination. We're not here for that. That's why I was so hard on you when you came in. I don't want you distracted. I want you here. I want you taking notes. And I think now you're glad you did because you know what to do. So now what we want you to do is go out and live your business on purpose. Some of you are asking, how can you implement a live copy of this template? Like, can we get those templates, like a budget template and a subdivided bank account template and a level 2 dashboard template and all that stuff? Absolutely. Certainly you can. We used to give our templates away, as I told you up front, and then we followed up with those that we gave them away. And quite frankly, we were really deflated to find out that not many people were implementing them. Why? We learned something about psychology. We found out if you're not paying, then you're not paying attention. So we're going to make you pay, but we're not going to make you pay with money. We're going to make you pay with something far more expensive than your money. And that is, we want you to pay with your attention. Now, you've given yourself about 39 minutes of your attention and implementation, but we want you to have this live template. So there's a super easy, powerful way to get this template. And I want you to get ready with your questions, by the way, because we're going to go through some Q&A right now. There's a powerful way to get the template. You can get on a 15 to 30 minute Zoom meeting with one of our coaches. The good news is we're not going to make you pay for it with money. You have to pay for it with your time. And so you'll be on one of our calls. This is not a secondary person we have. This is one of our professional coaches. They necessarily build time in their schedule for these calls. They will walk through any questions that you have. They'll get you set up with a template. And then two things will happen from there. Number one, they will either send you on their way, and they'll send you some text follow-ups and see how your progress is. They're not going to hound you. This isn't a timeshare sales or anything like that. The second thing they can do is, if you ask them, they will tell you how you can become a client of ours or how you work. Now, if you ask them, it doesn't mean you have to become, but there's a better chance you will, and quite frankly, probably need to, honestly, because some of you keep coming to these masterclasses and you're no further along than you were the last time. Why? Is it because the masterclass is bad? Nope. It's because you haven't implemented anything. Why? Because there's nobody pushing you to do it. And so if you want our templates, we're going to make you pay, but pay with your time and attention. That way there's no excuses, right? So you're not going to be able to tell somebody, well, it made me pay for it, so I didn't want to do that. We probably should make you pay for it, but we're not going to. All right? So here's how you can do it. If you go look at the chat window right now, click this link for a live template. All right, so you're going to click that link. I just hit. We've got somebody in the waiting room coming in. They'll get it here in a minute. So you can click that link. I'll probably post it again here in just a sec. You'll see it twice. Oh, waiting room participants. No, I want everybody in the meeting. Okay, there we go. There's the link. All right, so you can click that link, and once you do, it's going to open up a form for you. And in that form, I want you to go ahead and fill it out. And what you're doing is you're committing to hop on a call with one of our coaches. And when you're on that call, they're going to answer any question you got about what we talked about. All right. So any questions and help you get started on the implementation for this. That's what they're going to do. And if you want to know how to work with us, just ask them. They'll tell us. All right. So let's go back. Lisa, so go ahead and fill that out, by the way. You can go ahead and pull that up while I'm answering these questions. Your follow-up to that measuring progress was 30, 60, 90s for goals, metrics to measure progress. The first year, we do not set 30, 60 metrics. Here's why. We don't know what the financial watermark of your business is. And you could say, well, you could look at national associations in my industry and find that. Those are garbage for what we're talking about because nobody tracks their cash like we do. And so what we do is we take the first year to see how your cash makes out. The one metric we do track is an increase at minimum of 10% or more of average cash balance. That's a very specific metric we track. And then what we do is we find the watermark, basically the bottom that your cash should be based on a certain revenue. And then we can set some metrics around that. Your follow-up question was, how do you measure the progress and decline in business cycles? Ooh, historical data. We will do projection, but we also do historical data. And in the historical data, we'll look back. We'll take what the market tells us, but the reality is we usually don't look at the macroeconomy for that. You know what we do? Because even in down economies, we have helped some of our businesses grow in down economies. Why? Is because they have got laser focused on marketing. And so we're less concerned about all the outside metrics and we're more concerned about your process of outreach. Okay? Your process of outreach in doing that. So we will jump quicker, far quicker to your process for outreach and sales than we will to macro sort of metrics. We look at them, of course, but we're more interested in the process and getting out there. So Beth, you put down here, pay with your attention. So I got that from a dear mentor of mine who's since passed, Dan Miller, who wrote the great book, 48 Days to Work You Love. He was the guy that taught me the coaching business 10 years ago. By the way, our business turns 10 in March. 4% of businesses see their 10th birthday. 4. So turn 10 in March, and we're about to wrap up the opening of tickets for our 10-year anniversary live event. This is our regular live event, but the 10th anniversary of it. And it's going to be like 200 or 300 people there. It's going to be crazy in Bluffton, South Carolina. And we're about to open tickets up to non-clients here in just a little bit. So those of you who are on our email list, you'll get that. We'd love to host you down here for a little bit. Okay, John, this is not a message directly to you, but I will make a note. Some of you guys just saw a note taker note come on here. I'm going to delete that. We do not allow outside solicitation of everything in our masterclasses. This is a generous offering from us to you. And so I'm not being rude to John. I think it's an automated thing that his note taker did. Just FYI what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Krista, you said, can we access the recording of this meeting? I'd like to share it with my partners. I tell you what, if you sign up to hop on a call, we typically, I don't think we resend these out. I'm not sure, but if you'll sign up a call, Krista, what honestly would be better is for you and your partners to hop up on a call with one of our coaches. And I will assure, because we are recording this, I will assure you that you get access to this to do that. And quite frankly, to make a lot more sense if you got a live person talking with it through it. So tell us what, you can just come off of mute. What kind of business are you all in?
Sorry, as soon as I learned how computers work, we have a small plumbing company in Houston, Texas.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, we've got quite a few plumbing contractors. So Aurora, are you in Houston also?
I'm in a little town called Bernie, north of San Antonio.
I know exactly where Bernie is.
Ah,
Yeah. Wait, are you with Trey?
Trey.
Okay, he's not in Bernie. He's near Bernie. There's another town that starts with a B near San Antonio, but it's out in the hill country.
Bulverde.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that is. So yeah, we've got a lot. So we do build expos. We do the Austin, Houston, and Dallas build expos. So for those of you in Texas, we'll be back in Austin. Look up buildexpousa.com. I'll be doing both workshops and the keynotes out there in Austin and in Dallas in April, and in Houston, Krista, in June. And so, yeah, we work with a lot of plumbing contractors. So that's great. It'd be awesome. Okay. Hey, any other questions that anybody's got? You guys put them in the chat window. You can, at this point, you can come off mute and ask me.
Actually, I do have a question for you.
Yeah, Aurora.
So I do coaching and consulting for a lot of my clients. And so, you know, maybe what I set up a call to meet with one of your BOP coaches.
Yeah.
I would like to know if you're open to just like a strategic alliance, because I think one of the clients that I'm working with desperately needs to work with your coaches.
Yeah, certainly. We've actually done that a couple of times. We're mutually in one. We are very selective, as you can imagine. We have one going right now, and because we've tried before and gotten really, really burned with that, but we're certainly open to it. I am going to have you, actually, is Brent still on here? I think he had to hop off. Brent's still on here. He's not. I'm going to put you in touch with Brent Whitaker. He actually is handling our strategic partnership right now with Expert Ownership Firm. And so I'm going to connect him with you. Aurora, I tell you what, let me send you his email. You email him directly, okay, and I'm going to private message you, and my business on purpose.com. Okay. Shoot him an email. He's in the back office right there. I'm going to go tell him right away as soon as we get off.
Okay.
To expect an email from you. But yeah, thanks for asking about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys go back up. Anybody who wants to hop on with one of our coaches, put it there, and we'll make sure that they get on with you. A couple of announcements. If you did not get my book, let me pull that back up here. And anybody, you're welcome to go get that. It's our little gift to you. And I know some of you are on your phone, sorry, but if you're not, you can take a little screenshot of that. That's my audiobook. By the way, just so you know, it's great training too. If you want to use it as a training mechanism for your team, have them sign up for the audiobook as well. And then you guys can listen to it together as a book club, but you're listening to it as a team and talk about it in your team meetings. It's a great way to follow up. All right. Well, hopefully everybody's hey, we're going to have another masterclass in February, so be on the lookout for that. We've got a lot of things coming out every single month as we do. And I've got my second book should be coming out March or April called The Chaos-Free Contractor, The Chaos-Free Contractor. And we're going to be talking about plug-in leaks and all kind of stuff in there. So you'll enjoy that once it comes out. We'll let you know. Hey, before we jump, I'm really grateful that you gave me your time and attention. Thanks for letting me be a coach and push you and prod you a little bit for all of that. I hope you know that's what we do as coaches. We side hug from time to time too. We're nice people. But we got to push, we got to punch you in the mouth every now and then just to make sure you get these things done. Why? Because we want you to be liberated from chaos, to make time for the things that matter. All right, everybody. Hey, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you don't have any snow as half the country did last week, which is crazy. And now it's time. Hey, I gave you 11 minutes before the top of the hour. You know what you should do now? Go implement. Don't go take phone calls and text and go make out with chaos. Go implement. All right, everybody. Have a great day. See you later.